Thank you for joining. Welcome back to Static Fear.
Static Fear. Today we are going to be reading I'm a PI for a local port town. A girl has gone missing in the swamp. And that's actually by the Emerald King, 1988. I wonder if the Emerald King was born in 1988.
I think it's a hunch, but you might be a PI.
No, you might be a PI. What did you call the a PI?
Paranormal instigator.
A paranormal instigator. So you're making the paranormal pissed off.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So this one's actually on a r/sci-fi stories.
This is different.
Very, very different compared to like the r/no sleep and everything like that. So it looks like it's actually going to be a very, very creepy story, to be honest with you. And it's actually a multi-part too. I think there's three or four parts to it.
I think there's 3. Do you know when the last one was posted?
I'm not sure. I know the first one was done 5 months ago.
Okay, so it's probably been done every couple months.
Yeah, something like that. So, I mean, I think it's going to be good. Do you have anything before we start this creepy story?
Yes, I do. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a comment and just give us a follow. If you have anything you'd like to suggest, or if you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a comment below and just give us feedback on what we could change. We're trying to have this better setting with this Riverside, not a sponsor, to try to make the audio and video look a lot better than what it has been, because there's been hiccups in the last 2 videos.
Well, you know what? The viewers deserve better.
They do, absolutely. And we appreciate everyone that's been watching.
Better video, better sound. Here we go. People think they know strange. Hell, before all this, I thought I did too. You see a lot of shit in the military, even more than a private eye. You think you know people. Well, you don't, trust me. There's a whole layer of filth underneath what you think you know. I thought I'd seen strange. Thought I knew weird. Thought I couldn't be shaken. I was wrong. Finding the book changed everything for me. You know that saying? If you look into the abyss looks back? Well, it's true. More true than anything. All it takes is a glimpse beneath the veil. I wish I had never taken that last job, but it's too late now. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start from the beginning. I work in an old port town in the southern USA. The kind of place with rotten docks and always smells like rotten fish. The kind of place full of superstitious old-timers over the top stories. You won't find us on many current maps. This town hasn't been relevant for a long time. I get most of my work from the nearby city. No, I won't tell you which one. Hell, I won't even tell you the name of this town. Last thing I need is more weirdos coming here to go missing in the nearby swamps. For the sake of reference, though, let's call the place Portsmouth. And you can call me James or Jimmy. Local PI Portsmouth is a rotten shell of what it was when I was a kid. It used to be a pretty nice place with lots of work. After the fishing dried up, an old mine shut down. It kind of just got forgotten about. Who knew that the mine runoff would send the fish running? Who knew the mine would fall short after a decade of steady output? Not my old man. Not any of the other old-timers either. And that's life, I suppose. Now the swamplands creep in on one side of us, and the salt water breaks the other. So all started about 2 weeks ago. I just come down from my upper floor apartment down to my office. I was expecting a quiet morning, but as I walked to my door to unlock it, I saw a letter laying in front of it. I picked it up and looked at the return address. Ellen Peterson, from the city close by. Peterson. I didn't recognize the name. Tearing the letter open, I looked at the contents. A picture fell out of the folded letter as I opened it up. I picked it up and saw a young, dark-haired girl with bright, innocent-looking blue eyes and freckles. I went back to the letter. Dear Mr. Smith, I write to you out of desperation. My daughter Mary, who came to Portsmouth to visit her grandfather, has gone missing. I've talked to the sheriff, and all I get is,
We are working on it.
it's been 3 days. I know the time window for her to be alive grows smaller and smaller by the hour. Please accept my case. I'll pay whatever you want. You can start by talking to my father, Ellis Bell. Thank you in advance. If you need anything, please call me at redacted. With all hope and sincerity, Ellen Peterson. This is pretty good. It's actually starting out very, very well.
Yeah, honestly, I really agree. And you can tell, like, it's like written like a Southern would, especially just taking away the A's in and.
Yep. I think it's one. Okay, I'm going to call it here. I'm
Okay.
guessing. Okay?
Okay.
I'm guessing without the NG. Guessing.
Okay.
It is going to be a what's that called now? Cthulhu. It's going to be something got to do with Cthulhu or something.
Why
like that.
Cthulhu?
Because it reminds me of a game that I played called The Sinking City, where you're actually a private investigator there too, searching for somebody.
But isn't that with water?
Yes, it is. It is got to do with the water. But
Okay. This is sci-fi, right?
yes, it's sci-fi, but you never know. It could be anything, maybe monsters or something like that.
I'm gonna say it's I'm gonna be typical with mine with aliens,
An alien abduction,
possibly.
or the good old swamp folks
No.
coming out to get you.
Like Wrong Turn.
Yeah, Wrong Turn or Fallout 3 Point Lookout.
I never
The
played
Southern
Point
folks.
Lookout.
So good. So good. Ellis Bell. I knew the old man. And I knew her too now. Ellen Bell ran off with some rich city boy after high school. I checked my watch pretty early. The old man would be at the local diner. I stuffed the letter and photo in my pocket and grabbed my coat. I stepped out into the cold, wet, fish-smelling morning air. Time to work. I stepped into the diner and shook off the morning damp as I looked around. As usual, the old-timers were all huddled up at a long table in the back. What wasn't usual was the hushed voices instead of the rowdy banter that usually accompanied them. A voice from the counter called out to me.
Hey Jimmy, here for breakfast?
Said the plump woman behind the bar top. I looked over and gave her a small smile.
Not today, Ellen. Working. I'll take a cup of coffee though.
She gave me a small nod and waddled to the pot, filling up a cup and handing it to me. I took a sip and headed over to the table. The hushed voices stopped as soon as I neared. A gruff voice on the opposite side called out.
Guess you're here to see me, eh, boy?
Said a shriveled twig of a man in orange waters.
Yeah, Ellis, I'm here to see you. Ellen contacted me.
I said, quietly looking at him in the eye. You had to be respectful to these old timers. You didn't show respect and pay your dues to the water and they wouldn't give you the time of day. Ellis slowly nodded.
She said she would. That useless fuck sheriff hasn't done a damn thing but sit on his fat ass in that comfy office. I don't know how a beached asshole like him got voted in the first place.
Said Ellis angrily, his fist slamming into the table as the other old men nodded at his words. Sheriff Johnson was a fat old man who basically just filled his position in name only. Most of the time, if any real work needed to be done in this town, it was me or Deputy Belham doing it. The sheriff never set foot in a boat in his life. Therefore, he wasn't respected by a single person in this town, though he might have earned some if he actually did his job.
Give me the details, Ellis. Tell me what happened to Mary.
I said, leaning on the end of the heavy wooden table. Ellis looked down into his coffee cup. The other old men just watching him patiently as he seemed to gather his recollection.
She's been staying with me about 3 weeks. Honestly, I was surprised she wanted to come out. Ain't nothing in this town for a girl her age. Maybe it's because I dote on her. Or maybe just wanted to get away from her folks. I don't know.
He shook his head slowly for a moment before continuing.
About 5 days ago, she said she made a friend. I asked her who, but she brushed it off. She was a good girl, so I didn't push the subject. The next day, she went out again, came back, and there was a smell hanging on her. I knew it. We all do. The swamp smell. I asked her again, who was his friend? Again, she tried to brush me off, but I pushed her this time. Asked her if it was one of those swamp dwellers. She hesitated, and that was confirmation enough for me. Maybe I got a bit stern with her, told her she knows better. Shouldn't be hanging around those swamp folks.
He paused for a second, and a single tear rolled down his cracked cheek.
Guess she just wanted to placate me. 'Cause she said okay, and she wouldn't see him again. I thought that was the end of it. Went out to sea the next morning. When I came back, you were gone.
An old timer next to him placed a weathered hand on his shoulder as Ellis seemed to sink in on himself. I nodded slowly. Last thing I wanted to do was take a trip to the swamplands, but if that's where the trail led, then that's where I was going.
All right, Ellis, I'll look into it. But, 3 days in the swamp, you know what I'll probably find, right?
Ellis looked at me in the eye sternly.
You just bring her back, boy. One way or another, and you'll have our gratitude.
The old timers all gruffed out their assents.
All right.
I said, standing up.
I'll contact you when I find something.
With that, I downed my coffee and headed out, putting my mug on the bar.
Be careful out there, Jimmy,
said Eileen with a worried wrinkle in her brow. I nodded to her as I walked past and headed back out into the damp morning. You see that? It said swamp folks.
So
She said swamp folks, Peyton. Swamp folks.
Cthulhu is not swamp folk.
How do you know?
I don't know, let's ask him.
He could be controlling the swamp folk.
From the ocean?
Yes. We don't know. Just because there's a lot of swamps are also right near the ocean.
Like you're stretching. Oh,
I'm not stretching. I'm sitting here. I ain't stretching nothing.
it's a good theory.
It is. It is. I mean, I think this says swamp folk, so maybe. I wonder if it's just trying to throw it off the trail, so we don't know what happens.
Probably not.
It
But
could be
honestly,
aliens.
I love, honestly, how this is being. I love the dialogue. I love how it's being set up.
Yeah,
I think
it's
this is
very.
actually a really good story so far.
Yeah, yeah. You can just tell. I mean, everything's just setting up very, very, very well. As I walked down the pothole covered road, I thought about what to do next. I'd need to prepare. No way I was going into the deep swamp unarmed, and I'd need a guide. There was only one person for that. I took a turn and headed to the bar nearby. Probably the only place in this town open 24/7. Remember when Walmart was open 24/7, Peyton? You could go in there. You didn't know
Okay.
what you was going to find at 3 a.m. Could be crackheads.
Mm.
Could be a simple old lady or old man just shopping.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always more peaceful.
Yeah,
Very,
absolutely.
very peaceful. You could find everything you needed.
Yes, not without people in the aisles with their buggies just chit chatting. I like go the hell home.
If you want to chit chat, call them.
Yeah,
Or at least go to the side.
exchange numbers and get the hell out.
Exactly. We do live in the 21st century. I pushed open the heavy door and was greeted by the smell of warm booze and sawdust. Here and there, the local drunks snoozed or talked to themselves in their seats. The lumberjack of a bartender greeted me as I entered.
Morning, Jimmy. What can I get you?
He said in his low cannon of a voice.
Nothing today, Al. Working.
He nodded and looked to the lean figure sitting at the bar. Henry looked like a cowboy trying to become an alligator, wearing blue jeans with alligator boots, vest and hat. He sat there sipping on his whiskey. He was a muscular, tan man in a small, lean kind of way. A large Bowie knife was strapped to his hip, like a promise. I came over and sat next to him. Didn't say a word, didn't have to. In all likelihood, he already knew why I was here. He side-eyed me for a moment and downed the rest of his glass.
When we leaving, Jimmy?
He said in his smooth voice.
Soon as you can get ready, Henry.
I stared at him for a moment as he put his glass on the table and pushed it away.
Give me about an hour, and I'll have the boat ready.
He stood up and looked at me.
Dweller's been real strange lately, Jimmy. Strap heavy for this one. Not sure how they gonna react anymore.
I nodded thoughtfully as he stepped out. Signed, I got up off the stool and headed out myself. I walked to my office, stopping momentarily to look out on the water. The dark blue water splashed against the decrepit docks. A few boats that have seen better days floated by the parts that were still usable. I remembered the days helping my dad load the boat before going out. Everything seemed brighter back then. I wondered then if this town would survive my lifetime. I turned away and stepped into my office. I went through my apartment, grabbing my gear. Camo boots, waters and jacket, my .38 for the inside pocket, my .44 on the side of my hip. I debated on rifle or shotgun. In the end, I went with the shotgun. I filled my pockets with ammo. When it came to the swamp and the dwellers, it was best to be prepared for anything. It was a time when the dwellers and us got along all right. These days, though, they were almost completely isolated and didn't appreciate visitors. If Henry said they were even stranger now, then I wasn't really sure what to expect anymore. I grabbed a backpack with some extra gear. Rope, tape, tarp, whatever might be useful if we got in trouble or had to bring back Mary in the worst case scenario. I stepped onto the docks. The weight of my gear reminded me of my time in the army. Henry sat in his flat-bottomed boat, rifle slung over his shoulder, and pistol strapped to the hip where his knife wasn't. I tossed my bag in, climbed inside. Henry lit a cigarette before starting up the motor. He took a drag and started moving away from the dog. We headed up the coast. When we reached the channel that would lead us to the swamplands, I looked up from inspecting my weapons.
So, how bad is it now, Henry?
I said, watching him expertly guide the boat. Blowing out a puff of smoke, Henry looked back at me.
Pretty bad, Jimmy. They're more paranoid than ever, more dangerous. Last month, I came out to check my traps. Caught one coming up behind me. Knife out. Fucker was covered in swamp mud. Practically naked except some clothes around his junk. Felt like I was seeing tribe folk in the Amazon or something. Couldn't understand a word the fuck said. I just love how they talk on here. Couldn't understand a word the fuck said either before I made him silent.
Henry's a killer. He's a cold-blooded killer. Don't mess with Henry.
We kind of gotta be. I don't even understand what are they being treated like outsiders, like?
So, I think, so the swamp folk, right?
Yeah.
The swamplands are theirs. That's their land. And then, of course, you have the normal people in Portsmouth. That's not. Well, I mean, they're just a normal town.
So it is kind of like, it's not like Wrong Turn. It's more kind of like the remake of Wrong Turn.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Where it's they are kind of outcast.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I looked at Henry for a long moment. There's an unspoken rule out here. What happens in the swamps, stay in the swamps. It rarely happens, but this town sometimes takes justice into its own hands. When they do, they take it to the swamp. I decided I didn't want to ask any more questions and went back to my inspections. As we headed further inland, the tree growth grew thicker, and the canopy above blocked out the sun. Henry wove us between the trees and kept us away from too shallow waters. We were moving slow. As I looked around, I didn't really notice much of anything. Then I noticed that I really didn't notice anything. No movement, no birds making noise overhead, no movement under the water's surface. Even the flies and mosquitoes were AWOL.
Henry, what the hell's going on out here?
I asked in a whisper. I'm not sure why, but I had a feeling I needed to stay quiet. Had a feeling there were odds on us. Henry just looked back at me. His expression was like stone as he turned back to guide us through. I readied my shotgun and crouched into a stable position, scanning the area. I couldn't see anything, but I knew they were there. My instinct screamed danger as we moved ever deeper into the dark swamp. Suddenly below us, there was a boom. Before I could react, the boat flipped up in the air, water splashing up around us before I was sinking down in it. The filthy swamp swallowed me, its foul taste filling my mouth as I struggled to regain my senses. I flipped and turned, losing all sense of direction. Blindly, I swam where I thought the surface was. Instead, I met mud and roots. Turning, I swam the opposite direction. I finally breached the surface, inhaling the stale air, quickly looking around for Henry. There was land nearby, and the edge I saw him. Muddy hands dragged him from the water and held him to the ground. I looked at the savage, muddy faces. I couldn't believe these were the same dwellers. They had become absolute feral, looking like tribesfolks or of some kind. As I looked, a figure stepped from the shadows, a woman bare-chested and covered in mud, wearing some kind of tribal headdress. Okay, so this to me is definitely making it. You know, there's that one island, Peyton, that's
The
out
one
there
that
where it's
what?
uncontacted tribe, and they will kill anybody who steps foot on the island.
Is that the guy who left the Coke?
Yeah.
The can of Coke for?
Yep.
Yeah.
And like there was like a boat that washed up on shore with people in it, and they all got killed.
And there was also a priest that went there and yeah,
To try to convert them,
yeah,
and I think they converted him
yeah.
inside out. So
Phew.
yeah,
Savages.
this is what it's giving me vibes on
Yeah.
for sure. She knelt down beside Henry as she pulled out the jagged, wicked-looking dagger, and he began to fight even harder against his captors. The woman raised the dagger high above her head, shouting in some language I've never heard before. And then she looked at me. Bright green eyes looked at me. Too bright, too green, or not quite green. Pain started to rip through my head as we stared into each other's eyes, but then she turned away and plunged a dagger down into Henry's heart. Not Henry, the most badass character. And what happened? Gets killed.
Yeah. Which I knew someone would meet their demise, but I hate that it was Henry.
He had no plot armor.
He should have been reading the story.
R.I.P. Henry.
R.I.P.
He gasped loudly as the blade struck home, his body twitching before falling still. The dwellers stood then, all turning towards me. Green eyes, but not quite green. Slowly they stepped back into the shadows, disappearing from view. But I knew they were still there, watching me as I carefully made my way to the muddy earth where Henry lay. I struggled up the muddy banks to Henry's body, catching my breath and looking down at him. He was gone. His eyes wide in terror, slack-jawed. Looking around me, the shadows of the swamp seemed to deepen. My head felt taut, like something was pushing it from either side. Images of my time in the desert flashed in my head, but they were different, monochrome in color. Gray sands, black rocks, dark sky. But there was a light somewhere, a greenish light. I shook my head and reached for my weapons. The shotgun was gone, and so was the .38, but my .44 was still strapped to my hip. I pulled it out, breathing slow, trying to calm myself. I scanned the area, but the light of the day was fading fast, and the dark shadows lengthened. I took inventory of my ammo, 18 bullets including what was already loaded. I reached to Henry's side and grabbed his knife. Then I moved. The sun began to dip lower as I walked through the stinking mud. I estimated my direction, trying to move south towards the coast. The swamp grew darker and darker as I stumbled forward. My flashlight was in my pack, lost somewhere in the swamp's murky water. So I kept going, staying quiet and watching my surroundings. Now and then I'd see some movement, but it'd be gone as soon as I turned to look. My head seemed pounding harder the further I went. Eventually the sun vanished, plunging me into darkness. Through the canopy above I could see some stars, but I couldn't figure them out. Twinkling mockeries of our own constellations, but different enough that I couldn't figure out my directions. So I kept on, hoping I was moving straight, but knowing I probably wasn't.
James.
A whisper came from my right. I turned, holding my gun forward in front of me. I couldn't see anything but the shadows. They seemed to blur in my vision, and I quickly rubbed my eyes to try and clear them.
Come, James.
Another from behind me. I spun, waving my revolver side to side, scanning the area in front of me. Again, nothing but blurred, twisted shadows. I started to run. I moved awkward and slow, the mud sucking at my boots with each step. The whispers came again all around me.
James, come, James. Chosen James.
The canopy of whispering voices. My head pounded, my disorientation building and building till finally I collapsed into the slick mud. Then there was light. Green flames lighting up on torches all around me, held aloft by mud-covered, green-eyed dwellers. I sat up, raising my gun once again.
Stay back!
I screamed as I waved my gun between the dozen or so individuals surrounding me. Then I noticed it. As I moved my weapon in front of me, 2 more torches lit up, revealing a stone table covered in mold and rust-covered substance. Round it were corpses mummified in a wet, sticky way that would only a swamp can produce. 2 of them were kneeling before the stone table, and held aloft in their hands was a large leather-bound book. The figures of the dwellers stood in place around me. I stood up, gun still raised, and looking at each of them. Then I felt a pull. Something in my mind telling me to look forward again. I turned back, my eyes falling on the strange book held up by those skeletal hands. Strange words were etched into the leather. Liber Simorgati Luminis Attorney. A shadow behind the altar seemed to shimmer, and a figure came forward. The woman from before, her green eyes locking on my own as she approached the table. She raised her hands high up into the air. Electus Regis Smargati Venit Demus in Esu Lepsu ad Insanium. She yelled over us, her voice manic and eyes fevered as she looked around. I looked closer at her mud-covered face as she looked at me from behind the altar. A wide grin spread across her face. Then recognition hit me. You know what? 100%. This is kind of taking inspiration from Fallout 3 Point Lookout.
You think so?
Yep, the Necronomicon
Yeah.
book was on
the book.
Fallout 3 Point Lookout.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they might. No, yeah, I think it was called the Necronomicon book. And you actually, the swamp folks have it, and you actually have to get it back.
Now, I did look up the language that is, and it's Latin.
Oh no, we just summoned something, Peyton.
That's why I'm not reading.
Well, I guess I just summoned something.
Well, yeah, I whenever I went through this and I looked at it, I was like,
you can only summon it if you say it right. And I don't think I said it right, so we're good.
Well, okay. Well, you're doing a good job with it, so I'll leave you to it. Mary, your mother sent me. I'm here to help you get home.
I yelled at her. She kept staring at me. Amun some in lumen ephesus, she whispered at me. Suddenly, pain ripped through my skull, and I dropped to my knees, my vision blurring. I looked up to see hollow sockets and wide, toothy grins meet my gaze. An emerald light began to emanate from their dark eyes as skeletal hands grabbed and held me down. I struggled with all my might as all around me the flames grew brighter as mud-covered figures burst into eldritch flame. I think, Peyton, this is 100% like Cthulhu.
You read the story before.
Nope, I skimmed through it. That's all I did. I skimmed through it. I heard Mary's voice rise up. Recipe? Nos? Rex? Nativus ex Macu. Another bright green flame grew from the direction of the table. Suddenly, 2 green lights filled my vision. My eyes burned and my head throbbed, and then everything went dark. I opened my eyes to that monochrome landscape. Gray sand and black rock with a tolling black sky high above me. But as before, there was a light like liquid emerald floating and reflecting off of the monochrome surfaces around me. I turned in its direction to see a tall black misshapen tower of inconceivable geometry. At its top was the source of the light. A figure was there. Behind its head, a halo of that alien light. My mouth gaped open as I dropped to my knees. It was so close, yet so far away. To my horror, I wanted to be closer. Shadowy tendrils slowly slipped down from the rolling sky, round the figure. It reached a long clawed hand towards me, as if beckoning me to take it. I reached out to it, and suddenly I was there, kneeling before the looming figure, now only a few feet away from me. It turned its faceless head towards me and reached down, its large hand pressing to my chest. Pain flared from its touch, burning me and forcing out a scream I didn't even realize I could emit from my body. Its voice ripped through my skull, tearing my mind apart with each word.
Awaken, child, and see truth around you.
The darkness took me once again. I awoke a week later in a hospital bed. Sitting in a chair near me was Ellis' bony form. Images of hollow eyes and skeletal grins flashed through my mind, and I yelped, closing my eyes and pressing my palms into them.
Jimmy, boy, what happened to you out there?
Ellis said quietly. I kept my eyes shut.
Don't let anyone in the swamp, Ella. Nobody can go in there.
I practically screamed at him. He stepped back warily.
Yeah, okay, boy. I'll tell everyone to stay out. Jimmy, what happened to Mary? To Henry?
He asked hesitantly. I opened my eyes then and looked at Ellis with a manic expression.
They're gone, Ellis. Gone. There's nothing left.
I shouted loudly. Ellis ran to the door best he could, yelling for a doctor to come. I spent about a month in that hospital. I've forgotten things. I know I have. Everything here is what I can remember. At least I think it is. Honestly, I don't know what is completely real about this story anymore. What I do know is that I see things slipping into the shadows from the corners of my eye. I know that I have a certain instinct about things now. I know that when I got home, the large leather-bound book was sitting on my bed. I know the handprint-like scar on my chest shimmers green in a certain light. I know when I look in the mirror, I see emerald eyes staring back at me.
Wow. That is pretty interesting.
I think this is the best story we've read so far.
I agree with that 100%. Good
Not to
character.
say that not to say the other one was bad, by any means.
No, but this is, it like
This-
takes it in a new direction.
Yeah,
I love the characters. They're not one dimensional.
Mhm.
You could tell they're like multiple two-dimensional characters, and I love that about them. And the story keeps going. And this is I for the first time I'm gonna say, like, I can't wait to read the next one.
I think it's if this is what we have to look forward to for the second part, I'm all in. I
Yeah,
think it's going to ramp up 100%.
but there was one part in this that it mentioned the word alien. I don't see anywhere where it mentions a big sea creature named Cthulhu, but it
It
is
actually
plain.
does.
It says Cthulhu.
It doesn't say Cthulhu,
Mhm.
but it does say Eldritch, which is what Cthulhu is. The genre of Cthulhu is Eldritch horror.
Okay, was that Lovecraft?
Yeah, Lovecraftian. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
Lovecraftian.
Okay. Either way, like I'm very interested in so far with this. Does the Fallout DLC play out like this?
No, no. It's where you do actually you do have different choices in the game. Of returning it back to an old man and he'll pay you very well, or you can actually take it back to the main game, back to the Capital Wasteland, and actually bring it to an altar. And there's
Okay.
also a lot of ghouls surrounding the altar, which is very similar to the skeletons and stuff.
Wow. Okay. Is this on this is New Vegas, right?
No, Fallout 3.
3. Okay. What? I think the story was. I can actually see this becoming a movie, but I gotta say this about Jimmy. Man don't get paid enough.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, on the letter it does say, "I'll pay you whatever you want."
Define want at the cost of his with the Necronomicon
20
on his
G's at
bed.
least. 20 G's at least.
What?
$20,000 at least.
20,000. That's it?
At least.
No.
And if they don't, be like, well, I guess that means your daughter ain't worth it. Worth
The
$20,000
Book
to you.
of the Dead.
Well, you
the
know how much
book.
you could sell that thing on eBay for?
To watch it show back up at your house.
Damn it. Can't get away from it. Now, I could see this thing either a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, it played more like a even have you ever seen True Detectives?
I haven't.
It's really good, but this would be more of a sci-fi-ish True Detectives because it takes place in, I believe, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of has that swamp
I feel like
area.
this takes place in Louisiana.
I'd say it is with a big talk on swamps. And when you think of swamps, you think of Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana or even Washington. Even though it's
Yeah,
up north, it does have swamps too.
it's just probably a different kind of swamp. I
I
say
feel
it's a
like
lot.
the swamp folk, it's going to be more like those backwood, hillbilly, redneck type things. So yeah, more or less, I think Louisiana or maybe Florida. There's some crazy people in
Maybe.
Florida.
But at first, it seemed like it was like a realistic story, but then it took the turn with the book, and I believe that. So, are the swamp dwellers alive?
I think they are maybe partially
Undead?
alive, maybe partially alive, partially undead.
Hmm.
Maybe the book's keeping them alive. But one thing it says talking about being chosen. He's been chosen.
Hmm.
Which is kind of wild. Because it says about chosen James. Chosen James. What do you think that's going to be?
Don't know. So why isn't Ellen in this? The mother.
She just sent later.
Yeah, but she's sent the letter, but she's not a character yet.
Yeah, I think she eventually will be.
She comes in like Laurie Strode.
I guarantee she'll come in, and she will absolutely. She's going to be the new to him. She's going to be the new Henry.
I don't want to see a Sarah Connor.
Why not?
Ah,
Sarah Connor's a badass.
nah. In which movie? First or second?
First one. First one. Probably second one more than the first one. But then the later one, she's also badass. The young Sarah Connor.
Yeah. you know that's supposed to be the same age as the other one.
We ain't gonna talk, we can go there on that. What about the Sarah Connor Chronicles?
I haven't
TV
really
show.
watched it.
It was pretty good.
We're getting off track here.
We are getting off track, but it's okay because here at Static Fear, we don't know what we're doing, and that's the fun of it. You don't know what you're going to get when you click on this video. These videos is either going to be a crapshoot, a big old mess, all kinds of issues going on, or it's going to be the best damn production on a video you've ever seen in your life. Dag nabbit.
Dag nabbit.
Dag nabbit.
Anything you want to end on?
I just want to actually say thank y'all for watching the 2 previous videos, and definitely leave a comment. Tell us what you think. See if you like the better setup, and if it actually helps or hinders. And again, if y'all have any kind of suggestion on videos, definitely reach out and let us know.
Absolutely. Please comment your suggestions, and we'd be happy to listen to them. We have to be able to grow.
And we want to grow with y'all.
Absolutely.
Have y'all as our audience, and have y'all as our fans, family, whatever it may be. Family. But, no, y'all definitely, y'all watching it definitely means the world to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on us from here from Static Fear, we're excited to be able to read part 2 for you next week. And we'll see you in the next episode, part 2.
See you then,
Bye-bye.
guys.